In our series, A String of Pearls, Dutchbuzz contributors speak to people who have made an exceptional contribution to our local community. People whose passion for what they do have had an added value for the city of The Hague.
Today we pay tribute to someone who has delighted theatre audiences for the past 14 years. Someone who has brought a string of inspiring theatre productions from all over the world to our city, and without whom Christmas would not have been the same in The Hague. We're talking about the founder of the English Theatre Foundation, Elske van Holk, who speaks to Lilian Stroobach about fighting for the survival of our performing arts in The Hague, and about the importance of culture and family in her life. I asked Elske about the impact of the corona measures on the cultural life in The Hague and about recent changes at STET.
The terrible thing is that two things coincided in The Hague. It was Corona, which really stopped everything in March, mid-March, and then on top of that was the selection of the theatre organizations for getting structural subsidy or not, which is always a very cruel and difficult process. So these things ran along. So we were all in total shock about the fact that we had to cancel all our program actually, and we had to cancel a big symposium that we were planning. We had to cancel. We thought this is it. And in the meantime, you had this process running for structural subsidy, which was a totally future-based something. Whilst this was a thing that happened today that we had to combine. In a way, Corona has been good for us in a way that we had all of a sudden a lot of time to fight the initial advice of the advisory committee that STET wouldn't be granted any structural subsidy. And I think I can only be very proud of the team on how we picked it up, and that we had heard that it was going to be bad and negative, and very negative even. And so we decided, okay, we are now at this point in history that we can make a cut from the, say, let's put it this way, it's a bit strange, the Elske era into the Tom era, the Tom Dora Bertha era. And we did that immediately. So Tom Dello has been the front man in this whole fight for our structural subsidy. He planned, we planned more or less the strategy, but all the content came from him. And he said, I have got, I will put, a lot of it will stay the same with STET, but a lot will also change because we're a new generation. And that's perfectly all right, Lilian. That's the way it has to be. Mm-hmm. Young people have to take over. The people in their 30s are ready to jump, and they should. And there will be changes, and it will be maybe more actual the contemporary context than in the past. But it's going to be absolutely amazing. And obviously he did a brilliant job because he really contacted everybody on the Raad in The Hague for it, and we on top of that we set up.
A petition.
A petition.
Yes.
And
I remember signing that.
Yeah, thank you. And you were definitely not the only one who signed it. It was just amazing. They poured in from all over the world as well, There were fantastic comments of people saying, well, listen, I performed with STET, and if it was the start of my career, and it has given me a boost, Someone like Michaela Coel, who's now a BAFTA winner, and she was a Guildhall graduate in our program, and there are more of these people, and they all came back to our support, Avia Campbell, and it was just amazing, and of course Ashley Ramsden as well. So we felt very much supported, not only by our actors but also by our audience and the schools, because the education is unique in the Netherlands, what Dora has set up. So
and you saw the occasionals as a good way of stepping back.
Yes, it was actually a perfect moment to show the world, I'm leaving, here is the new team, trust them. And they did, obviously, because really we pushed and we spoke, and we had support from the British ambassador as well, which was fantastic. He's our patron. He's leaving now, but there's a wonderful new ambassador coming, female, so very nice. And it was really, we felt supported in so many ways. And then the news came
that you were successful.
That it was successful,
Yeah.
and that we were going to be supported for the coming 4 years. Of course, the problem is then that you get a huge amount of money. We think it's fantastic, 65,000, but it was 95 we asked. So you have to cut back your ambitions a little bit. But it showed support, it showed trust. And so that is already amazing. But by the way, it's not yet set in stone. If the gemeenteraad decides that they think it's more important to support someone else, then, you know, in the end, it's a prerogative of the gemeenteraad to make the final decision. So we have to stay we have to be alert and show what we are worth, and we are we're ready for that. We can do it, you know. There is a fantastic program coming up with lots of very interesting work, and that was also the amazing thing, that we got a very negative advice from an external advisory committee, whilst there were also applications for what they call the non-structural subsidies that every half a year are in. And we got 2 assessments in a row that were, wow, this is groundbreaking, this is fantastic what you're doing. It's about arts and impairments, it's about inclusiveness. We've got a trans performer, we've got two performers that are here based in the Netherlands, that they are going to do an immigration story. So, you know, there's a lot of relevance and already connection to today that is in the program. So in a way, Tom's ideas were there already, but he is now really promoting them and putting them in the light that it deserves. And I think I can really confidently say it's right that they trust us. We will do it, you know. STET will do it.
Personally, is it going to be difficult to take your hands off your baby, if I can call it that?
Yeah, that's what you hear a lot. Oh, you have to leave your baby. But you know, there's a time for everything. I'm also a parent, and I've had the luck of having had 4 children, but they spread out over 36 years of parenthood. So after 36 years, you sort of say, well, that's it, it's great. For STET, it hasn't been that long, 14 years, but it's time. It's time. You know, I feel that it started actually when I started to wake up in the nights thinking, oh, where do I get the money from, and how is it going to work, and where, if the people don't book, you know, I started to worry about it, and that sort of got higher on my list than just the enthusiasm. We're doing it, we're going to do it, and we do. And I think that needs a new energy and a new idea, and it's every organization should renew itself.
Yeah. But Elske, there's still plenty of energy in you.
Sorry, yes.
How will you be spending it in the coming years?
Well, you know, I'm a granny of 4, so I love my grandchildren, and they all live abroad, and my youngest one is going to study in a year's time, so I gather that I will take a lot of trains, because my husband particularly doesn't like planes, and there are some environmental issues there as well. So we are looking forward to that, and there may be other things that come my way. I'm talking to the Zonnebloem, for example, to become a regional board member. I'm still a board member in Muziektheater Wervelwind. You know, there are many things that will come, but I think it's my first priority will be to maybe my very first priority will be to clear my house, because my God, it's such a mess. I'm looking forward to have time for it, you know. And I'm ready for it to go, and I think it's good. It feels good. Feels good.
Yeah. If you're wondering what Elske brought along for an interview, stay tuned. We'll be hearing all about it right after the music.
It's Dutchbuzz's 10th anniversary this year, and we are celebrating our decade with a string of pearls as we honor those who have made a special contribution to the international community in The Hague.
Christmas, and especially summers, would have been very different in The Hague without delightful performances such as A Christmas Carol and the outdoor Shakespeare productions in their beautiful outdoor summer settings. All brought to The Hague by Elske van Holk, who created the English Theatre Foundation 14 years ago. We continue our interview with her and ask her about the special photograph she's brought along.
It's a picture of my father, who was then 94, I think, was just before he died, with his first great-grandson, which is my first grandson. And my father was a very Dutch traditional nobleman. He was a nobleman to begin with, but he was also a vicar. This is the right order. He was first a nobleman and then a vicar. Interesting enough. But he definitely had a calling. So, and interesting enough, I still miss his sermons. He was a fantastic speaker. I loved going to listen to his church. He did it so relevant, and there was a connection, and you always came out and you thought, wow, not bad. Very proud of that, and had a very strong connection there with him as well. And but he was very Protestant as well. So I told you the story that I once said to him, listen, I'm puzzled because there's so many good faiths around in the world, and I love to study them and to find the common grounds for humanity and generosity, and also support for each other and the environment and the earth in the total. And so I said, don't you think that we all sort of aim or believe in the same thing? And then he answered to me, I hope so, but I don't believe it. He was really true in the Protestant church. So when his great-grandson was born, whose father is a Muslim, so he is a Muslim, that was not a shock for him, but it was definitely something that he didn't envisage to encounter in his life. And we were raised very traditionally, and you married white people, and you sort of, no, we love everyone, but don't marry someone who isn't in our homes. No, exactly. But so this was quite new for him. My daughter married a fantastic Iranian man, director, and a fantastic brain he has. It's an amazing man, and we all adore him and love him. And but he comes, of course, from a different world. And so then my daughter brought her little son to my father and asked him to bless him. And he did that in such an encompassing way. Can you say that? Encompassing? Yes. It was inclusive. He really said we come from all sides of the world, and there are faith everywhere, and I only bless you with that communal feeling of goodness and of future, and take it as a task, but you're blessed. And for me, that was just amazing, having had that discussion not that long ago about that one and only God. So for me, that was that moment that this picture was taken, and it shows for me also that even when you're 94, you move still. You never should stand still. You should always keep your brain open for new experiences and new things that you may not be conscious of what you've got inside. We're such,
we more than we think often.
Yeah, but we also are sometimes victim is maybe not the right word, but we're a product of our pasts without realizing that also comes with a lot of prejudice and things that we should actually shed a little bit and think about it, that it's not.
So this is why you treasure this photograph.
It's beautiful. It's also generations and the worlds that connect.
Cultures,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
All interlinked.
Yeah.
What did you bring from your bedside table?
From my bedside table, well, you see, family is very important for me.
Sounds like it.
Yes, it is. It is, and this was. I've always already for a very long time. I've got two pictures next to my bed, and one is of my 3 children: my eldest son, my first daughter, and my unborn daughter, because she is holding my belly, my daughter, and that's where my unborn daughter, after 14 years, she arrived at the fantastic, famous little accident that is the best present it was that we could ever get, because the second picture is a picture of my son that died 19 years ago in a car accident, and this group, these 2 pictures, they all belong together, and they are, they're always next to me, and often I travel with them as well. Yeah.
Elske, yes, kitchen drawer.
The kitchen drawer, that's the most difficult one, because my kitchen drawer is such a mess that I've got.
But I only ever remember meeting you in your kitchen. It really is the hub of the house.
It is the hub of the house, and that drawer is the hub of the house, sort of, because everything that we don't use or whatever, it's in there. So I could tell my whole life out of it. There are little candles in it. There are little boxes for tea, and they're with pins and needles and all those things together. It has got some plasters, I guess, in it, and it's very messy. But what would be the most important thing that I would take out? Oh God. You see, this is the most difficult one.
Yeah, and you forgot to look before you came out. It probably would have jumped at you.
Yeah, it could have been, but I'm drawing it out now in my mind. But it's I always love it because it always has answers to little problems.
Yes, and it has a host of memories too. Open it up and
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we'll leave that one then. I'll ask you to think about favorite book and a poem.
Yes, that is also because I love reading. I'm not very good at remembering. I do remember the stories, but not very good always at remembering the book. Recently, with all the Beirut things, the book of Amin Malouf came back that I read, and I don't remember the name, you see. They were about his youth in Beirut and how in those days, in the early 70s, he's exactly the same age as I have, so I recognized the world that he was describing, and he said in those days Lebanon was looked at as a country that was where all ethnic groups lived and worked together without any problem. It was sort of an example for the world, Lebanon, in those days. And then it all went pear-shaped in 1975, I believe, or 79, I believe. 79, yes, that was when the Shatila, the Palestinian camps were bombarded, and that's where it all started to go totally wrong. And but that's so part of my history as well. Interesting enough that the world has always been part of me in a way. I've never been only that Frisian girl. I've always loved to, feel connections with other
that word
parts.
Embraced that you used earlier. You've embraced the world.
Well, and it
has embraced you.
I love being international. I think we all have our part to play, to say something Shakespearean, but it's important that we also open our minds to each other. And I heard Amin Malouf in Crossing Border, where he spoke as one of the people, and I remember him saying, and interesting enough, that struck me again because I'm also very much a European, that he said, I live already for 25 years in Paris, and my family is like the United Nations. We got all nationalities, and we are but I still can see the world, and particularly Europe, from a Lebanese perspective. And please, guys, this is amazing what's here. Don't forget what this is about, Europe. Don't forget it. It's a concept that you should not throw away. I thought it was very strong. And of course, in these now with these awful explosion,
yeah.
the blast. It's just horrible. And I've never been to Beirut. My husband had family there, half Lebanese, half Dutch family, and they are devastated. They don't live there anymore. Live also in Paris, but it's sort of the end of again a beautiful country in despair. Well, you spoke about your own country, yes, South Africa, of course, as well. It's sad. We should not give up, because there's a new generation coming and they will give answers. I'm sure they will. I'm positive.
Now, a verse. Do you know one that you can recite?
I can't recite a verse. I'm very bad at memorizing things, but there is a writer that I want to because again, it's also she's not family, but it relates to a family story. Anna Enquist. She lost in 2001 her daughter, who was on a bike and was scooped by a car, and she wrote the most amazing poems. And on my way here, I was looking for one that has been on my desk really ever since 2001, and I couldn't find it. But it's so raw, the pain that she describes on what it means to lose a child, and it resonates with me, because in 2001 I lost my son, also in an accident, and it has pained us 19 years, and we are doing wonderful now. We are very lucky with a beautiful family, and the only thing that is missing is that he is no longer part of it, but we hope somewhere that he looks up there and says, "You're doing great." And that connection, even after 19 years, Liliane, it's not gone. It doesn't go. The pain doesn't leave you. You can smile, you can be happy, and you are, definitely. We are experiencing great happiness with 4 grandchildren and everything. But the pain of losing someone so dear and so close to you, I carried that child, and that's emotion. That gives me always that I cannot talk about it anymore. It's painful, but it has been also wonderful that he was there, and he was a great fun guy. And but her pain of Anna Enquist, and she has written fantastic poems that I, as I said, I can't read.
You know what I'm going to do? You'll come back on that one, and we can inform our listeners when we broadcast your interview.
Thank you.
Elske, one small thing remains. You need to name the next pearl in our string of pearls for Dutchbuzz.
Yes. Well, I've been thinking about that, and I came, of course, I'm thinking about the art scene in The Hague, and I think one of the people that I've worked with such joy and so much love, and she has contributed to life in The Hague together with her sister. Actually, they set up the Vijfde Bedrijf, the 5th act. Anne-Marie de Bruin performed Lady M, and I think she is a pearl to The Hague. She is now in The Hague performing Aan Tafel, which is also for international communities. People can go there. It's in the grey space, and every Sunday they've got sessions with food stories from all around the world, and she's a great contributor to the connections, the international connections that we try to establish within STET as well, and I think she is a pearl to The Hague. I nominate her.
She sounds perfect. Thank you, Elske. I've been so used to calling you the director of the English Theatre Foundation. It kind of rolls off my tongue these days. We've been doing business for 10 years, Elske.
Yes.
How do I label you today? The outgoing?
Yeah, the outgoing. The former. I'm still the founder.
There we go. Elske van Holk, the founder of the English Theatre Foundation here in The Hague. Thank you so much for joining us today. All the best for the new team. For Dutchbuzz, I'm Liliane Stroobach.
Dutchbuzz, keeping abreast of the news in The Hague.